Hi, it's Rob from the Bobsphere, last day of the year, and it's my December wrap up. Now, December started out slowly, but then really picked up, and I read a ton of great books. So let's start. Now, as usual, we'll do the weakest first, and then we'll go up to the good ones. So, unfortunately, the dud of the year, not dud of the year, the dud of the month, and I'm really sad to say this, was Breast and Eggs. This is the rare times where I DNF a book and review it. So, The this book is divided into two halves, two parts. The first part concerns a woman who is going through breast surgery or breast enhancement, and it affects her family, like her sister and her daughter, in different ways. And that's fantastic, excellent, and I mean really, really good. If this book was just that novella, this would have been 10 out of 10 for me. Now, the problem started with the second half. That takes place ten years later, and it's about adoption or artificial insemination. It's not good. It's very dull. In fact, I found out that Miko Kawakami expanded the book, and I feel that book two is that expansion. It doesn't fit. Sorry. Next. Again, this one I heard a lot of hype about, but I didn't really like. This is Exciting Times by Nisha Dolan. Uh, Look, there's Rooney's Normal People, and then there are the imitators. This is an imitator. It's about a girl who goes to Japan, no, sorry, not Japan, to Hong Kong, China, to teach English, and she gets herself tangled in some relationships. But my problem with it is it's so deadpan. You imagine this girl, the main protagonist, to stay in the corner, because I didn't like life, and it was bad, and I was in this relationship, but who cares? I'm in a relationship. That's the type of person she is. Ugh. Now, if that was done on purpose, I'm not sure. I don't know if millennials are actually like that. I don't think so. I usually see a couple of them, but you know, but even in my generation, there were corner standards. So, yeah. Mm. Okay, next one again was a big disappointment, and I really like this author. So this is Daisy Johnson's Sisters, and it's about these sisters who move to another house because of an incident. And then as the book progresses, we find out about this incident. In theory, this sounds amazing. Plus, the house has a life of its own, so there's shades of Daphne du Maurier. It's a little bit of Jane Eyre in there, by Bronte. It just didn't work out. I don't know why. For starters, the names of the girls are months, July and September, and I kept on getting mixed up. When she said, and September came, and I said, is that the month? No, that's the character. Maybe I'm simple-minded. That's why. But that for me was not a good move. It just didn't work out. I mean, there's a huge potential. It's like something great, but you expect this firework, but in the end, it's just a damp squib. That's as simple as that. Her debut, though, Everything Under, and her short story collection Fen are both very good and highly recommended. This I would approach with a bit of caution. That's all I'll say. Basically, I'm kind of documenting my reading because I read those in the first of the month. Well, this one was a bit late. Breast and Eggs was a bit later. So now we go to Dominicana by Angie Cruz. I did like this one. It was very good. I really enjoyed it. This is the last of the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist. Now, this is an immigrant tale. I do like immigrant tales, and there's going to be another one in this stack about a woman who goes, or actually a very young one, who moves to America from Dominica to be with her husband. And then we find out things are not as they seem. So, yes, it's a good book. It's solid. I enjoyed it. I did not love it, but it's a keeper. That's what I'm saying. It's definitely worth a read. Out of the Women's Prize shortlist, I would say this is the weakest book, though, in that context. But on its own, as a novel, it is very good. Plus, it's one of the few post Trujillo Dominican Republic novels I've read. So that was interesting too. Next. American Gods. Okay, Neil Gaiman. I don't like him that much. There are some books I really, really enjoy, and there's a lot I don't like. I was a little bit scared about this one, but I enjoyed it. It's a very flowing read, and it's quite clever. By the way, even though this is thick, the actual novel is like this. The rest is bonus material. So it's a criticism. No, I wouldn't say a criticism. I wouldn't say a love letter either. But it portrays a certain type of America. That's a certain mentality that you find in America. So let's go back a bit. It's about a prisoner who gets kind of adopted by a god, and they go on this long road trip because of a battle. Because there are new gods now, like media and gossip. And then there's this big battle. So yes, it's good. I do think it's very flabby. This is the one, there are an extra 1,200 words or 12,000, whatever. Sorry, there's an extra 12,000 words that Neil Gaiman himself added. It didn't need to be like that. This could have been a simple 300-page novel, and it would have been stronger. Which made me think, I think I would have preferred the original version. Anyway, no big complaints. It is worth a read. If you're a Neil Gaiman fan, do check it out. Definitely. Especially if you like mythology. Okay, this one is actually, I mentioned this last month and I carried over to this month, but it's really good. It's about a girl or young woman, whatever, who goes back to Germany, to Berlin, to look for her lost brother, and she discovers a lot of things. It's a gripping tale, it's poignant, and it's highly enjoyable. It's an entertaining read in its own way, yet makes you conscious. Okay, let's start. Yeah, now we're kind of everything quality is improving. Okay, now Nicola Barker, I think she's an odd one. I've read Happy, which I heard is totally different from her usual books, and I read Sovereign, which is just a filler gap novella, I really enjoyed that. So this could be my first Nicola Barker proper. It's good, and I enjoyed it. It's very postmodern. It's about this man who meets another man. One man is called Ronnie, the other man is called Ronnie, but then the first Ronnie changes his name to Jim, and then brings Ronnie over to his house. And then as the book unfolds, we find out that there are lots of things connected to Ronnie. Some in a very obtuse way. And yes, there's a big reveal in the end when all connections and loose ends are tied up. So it is clever. I don't. You see, I'm hesitating a bit. Even though I did enjoy it, I felt there was something just a little bit lacking. It could have been better. It felt like a sub Ali Smith book. And so, I mean, Ali Smith, if she wrote something like this, I knew it would be better. Let's put it that way. Sounds mean. But on the whole, I did enjoy this, and it was a good read, and I did smile at places. And it is very clever, like I say. So, would you approach with caution? Yes. If you do like experimental literature, though, do check this out. I have a lot of Nicola Barkers in my bookshelves, and I'll be reading more of them, hopefully, next year. This is definitely not my last one. Yeah, let's go with this one. Okay, The Good Immigrant. One of the few non-fiction books I've read. This is 21 stories about the problems of being an immigrant in Britain. It's what you expect. There's stuff about racist slurs, about skin color, cultural appropriation. They're all in there. It's a very solid read. It's good. It's an eye-opener. It'll make you conscious of how things are, what things are like in 21st century Britain. And now, this was published in 2016. 4 years have passed, and I'll tell you, this book is more relevant than ever. So if you're into that, into essays, do check it out. I don't suggest reading it from cover to cover. It's more a book you dip into. Okay, Thomas Pynchon is one of my favorite authors, and this is one of the very few books of his which I have not read. This is Slow Learner, which is a collection of his early stories. Well, it proves that Thomas Pynchon is a human. Everyone knows him for his distinctive style, but this book proves that he developed it. Now, there are 6 stories, I think. Let me count. They're at the back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, there are 5 stories and an introduction. 4 of those stories are amazing. 1 is complete rubbish. I won't tell you which one. If you want to discuss it with me, go ahead. The introduction is worth the price of the book alone because you get an insight into Pynchon's writing techniques and what influences him. Really good. Some of the stories here, I would say, I said 4 good stories, but 3 of them are excellent. One's a dud and the other one's okay. But I'll tell you what I think. He wrote normally at the beginning. Got the stars of December. So I finally finished this. Took 4 months. I already did a video essay on this, so I'm not going to go into it. Just say it's brilliant. Dead Men's Trousers by Irvine Welsh. I am a big fan of Irvine Welsh. I have been ever since I was 16 or 17 when I first read Trainspotting, and I make it an effort to read every book he's published. Sometimes he's amazing, and sometimes he's good. Sometimes he can be mediocre, but that's not that often. This is one of the very, very good books. Okay, it's a return to the Trainspotting and Glue world that he started back in the early 90s. This time, the gang are moderately successful. Renton manages DJs. Sick Boy has an escort service. Begbie has reformed. And Spud, well, he's the same as always. So there are quite a few plot changes, so I'm assuming there'll be another follow-up in the future, especially with one character, but I won't say which. It is very funny. I laughed loudly. And I would say in recent Irvine Welsh books, humor hasn't been that strong, but here it's at full force. This, for me, is a return to form. The previous books, let's say The Blade Artist, A Decent Ride, The Sex Life of the Siamese Twins are good, but they lacked something. This has it. This is a really good Irvine Welsh novel. Not one to start with, if you have to, because it continues off the events from Blade. I'm always about to say Blade Runner, from The Blade Artist, and Porno, and a bit of Glue as well. So don't start with this. But it is an excellent Irvine Welsh. If you've read all those other books, do check this out. Okay, this was a Christmas present by my girlfriend, Magpie Lane, and it hits all the spots. It's a gothic thriller. It's got shades of Secret History. It's got a little bit of Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, and a little bit of Rebecca as well by Daphne du Maurier. So yeah, obviously I would like this. What's it about? This is about a girl who goes missing, and the nanny is suspected of kidnapping her. Then we get her view of the story and the story she tells the police officers. So we've got a very highly unreliable narrator. It's also about mental health. It's also about Oxford University. Well, the town, Oxford. It's really, really good. Highly recommended. If you want a perfect winter thriller, this is your book. Magpie Lane by Lucy Atkins. Brilliant. And the star book of December 2020 is Thomas Pynchon's The Crying of Lot 49. This is his second novel. This was an in-betweener because Gravity's Rainbow followed. It is really good. And I recommend this for someone who is starting Pynchon because it's not as dense as his other books, even though there's a convoluted plot line. but it's a lot of fun. It's not as rude either, but that doesn't matter. There's a very entertaining chapter about a film and a bet, but I won't go into that yet. So basically, if you want a plot, and there is one, well, Thomas Pynchon always has plots, but they're quite, spaghetti-like. This one's more clear. It's about a woman who inherits a fortune. When she comes to inspect the place, she inherits an estate from a former lover. When she inspects the place, she finds out that there are lots of things that are connected to it, like an underground postal service, a Jacobean revenge drama, and charred bones used as cigarette filters. Now, all these plot lines pile up, and she has to discover what's behind them. Why are these things happening? And she sets up her own private investigation, and it leads to a crew of wacky characters, silly situations. It is typical Pynchon in its own way, but it's more streamlined. And obviously, there's the meta ending, where the title is explained. And it's up to you to figure everything out. I mean, that's the plot, but probably there's other deeper things that say, like, how about it's a commentary on 60s garbage culture, how popular culture is ruining things, man's obsession into chaos. It's obsession with chaos and descent into chaos. I liked it a lot. Full 10 on 10. So that's what I read. What did you read? I'll be linking the reviews to all these books in the description box. Well, not now, could be in a few days' time. Should I say what I'm currently reading? I might as well do that, because it's going to be my first book of 2021. There we go. And it's this, Richard Osman, The Thursday Murder Club. So far, I am enjoying it. It is another Christmas present. I tend to read thrillers at the end of the year, I noticed that. Well, we'll see how it goes. But, I mean, it's doing the job nicely. Okay, what did you read in December? Did you have a good reading month? What's going to be your first read of 2021? Comment below. Bye, and see you, hopefully, next week.